All right, let's see. We got a question in the chat here. Jabari Anderson. Do you think next year's defense will be our best defense under Kirby Smart? Because I do. Jabari, that is a hot take right there, sir. I can't agree with you there because I'm afraid the 2021 defense is the best we will ever see. And I think the 2022 defense isn't far behind. Like as far as I'm concerned, the defensive line is the number one just X factor as far as a defense goes. And that defensive line personnel will just never be matched. Like we had a guy that wasn't the first, second, or third team All SEC that was drafted first overall in the NFL draft. Not first round, number one overall. Like Trayvon Walker just gets totally forgotten about. You had Jordan Davis winning the Bednarik Award. You had Jalen Carter as the number 3 defensive tackle. As far as I'm concerned, I've said this, I think, numerous times on the podcast. Jalen Carter is the best defensive lineman to play at Georgia. And Jalen Carter is the best defensive lineman that will ever play at Georgia. Like, I really do think this guy is a Hall of Fame, an NFL Hall of Famer. I think he is. I don't know if he's Aaron Donald, like maybe the greatest to ever play, but Jalen Carter is damn near unblockable at times. So you just had a defensive line. What did I say? Jordan Davis, Trayvon Walker, Jalen Carter, Devontae Wyatt was a first rounder. And then you had the Nolan Smith, the edge rusher. That's another one of those things about the 2020 team. Because of all those first rounders that I talked about, Jermaine Johnson is another one that was on that 2020 team that transferred to Florida State and became a first round pick. So I think the 2020, 2021, and 2022 defense were just, I think those were elite groups. I'm a little concerned about Georgia's defense for next year, honestly. Like I was talking about that edge rush, that outside edge rusher room. Like Damon Wilson going in the portal, Jalen Walker, obviously he played a little inside, a little outside, but his biggest impact was as an edge rusher. So you lose both of those guys. You lose Chaz Chambliss. And I talked about Sam Mpemba, who hasn't played at all, but he was a big-time recruit. Excuse me, like Gabe Harris. I think that's the edge rusher with the most experience. Like the defensive line, you're bringing back Christian Miller. Hopefully you're bringing back, hopefully you're bringing back Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. Like that secondary, you're losing Dan Jackson and Malachi Starks. Like those are some impact players. I didn't even name Michael Williams. You're losing from this past year's defense. Like Warren Brinson, Nazir Stackhouse were 2 of your more consistent defensive linemen. I'm a little worried that Georgia, because of this portal era we live in, like Georgia doesn't just have dudes at first string, second string, third string, just waiting in the wings for their time to start. So, this linebacker group should still be good with CJ Allen, with Raylan Wilson, and Chris Cole really came on this year. I'm really excited to see Ellis Robinson. One thing I'm concerned about Ellis Robinson being the number 1 player in the country, just didn't play like one meaningful snap as far as I could tell this year. I know there were some games he got in, but Ellis Robinson really didn't play at all. And in terms of guys, and that's why I don't rely, on guys, even if they're a 5-star, to be impact players as true freshmen. But you do expect, I don't know, like a DeAndre Swift kind of freshman role, where a guy contributes. Maybe he's not a starter, but he kind of comes in and shows what he can do, especially when you think about some of these Georgia defenses, like a Trayvon Walker as a freshman and a Kobe Dean as a freshman, like guys that would get on the field. I didn't even name Kobe Dean when I was naming those 2021 defense. Like he was like the heart and soul of that defense. But guys that had those packages as true freshmen, like a Chris Cole did this year, Georgia doesn't sub a lot in the secondary, so that could be a big reason for it. But also, when it comes to Georgia's corners, they weren't great this year. Daniel Harris and, Julian Humphrey, who started most of the season, and before Daniel Harris, I think, kind of beat him out. So to see Ellis Robinson not really get one, legitimate kind of action on the season, that's one thing that kind of concerns me. But I think if we see Georgia have the best defense under Kirby Smart next year, it's going to be a lot of guys that are right now, today on January 7th, are very unproven, and they break out. So Georgia's not a team that you would rule that out by any means, because you know how this program recruits. But I would definitely be surprised if this was the best defense of the Kirby Smart era.